Hello everyone, my name is Jane and today I'm trying to pick one favorite book from every shelf on my bookshelves. So I love challenges. I just think that they are so fun, and like you can see, my bookshelves right behind me are organized in colors. It means that everything is separated from each other. Books from the same author or books from the same series are usually not right next to each other. So basically I just have chaos here. And because of it, I think it will be really fun to try to pick one favorite book from every shelf. And I think that what is going to happen is that I will have some shelves with a lot of all-time favorites, and it will be really hard for me to decide. And then some shelves without any all-time favorites. I just think it will be really fun. So yes, I think that let's just start. Yay, another angle. Okay, so we are going to start with the first shelf, my white, yellow, orange shelf. I think that what I'm going to do is to first of all see if I have any 5-star reads on the shelf, and then try to decide between my 5 stars. I think it's a good plan. Okay, so first of all, I do have here No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is the edition in my native language, and I love this book. It was my first 5-star of the year. Such a good book. I do have the one by Kiara Cass, which is the 4th book in the selection series. I'm pretty sure I gave it 5 stars. I loved the last book in the original trilogy. It was really fun. And okay, I have another 5-star read. This is After by Anna Todd. This is the first book in the series. I love this series in high school. Okay, so basically I have 3 5 stars to choose from, and all of them are not in English, so I'm sorry. But first of all, I'm going to remove After because I really loved the whole series when I was in high school. But this is those kind of series that if I will read today, I will probably won't love it. Now from here, I do think it's a pretty hard choice. I really love the one. I think it's a good ending to the original trilogy. But I do think that I'm going to go with No Exit by Taylor Adams. I don't know, like this book just made me go wow after I read it. It was just so good and so unexpected, and I just didn't expect to love it this much. So I really want to go with this one. This is a really good book. Definitely recommend. Yes, I just love it so much. We here in my second shelf, my red shelf. Now I do have Paper Towns by John Green, another book that I gave 5 stars in high school, and I have another 2 5 stars. Oh my god, I'm just going to put it right here so we can see everything. But I do have another 2 5 stars, Catching Fire and Mockingjay, which is the 2nd and the 4th book in the Hunger Games, and I love the Hunger Games. First of all, I'm going to remove Paper Towns from the options. This is those kind of books that I'm not going to give 5 stars if I read it today. So are 2 options because there isn't another book on this shelf that can compare to the Hunger Games. So my options are Catching Fire or Mockingjay, and I'm going to choose Catching Fire. I think that Mockingjay is my least favorite book in the trilogy. I really loved Catching Fire, so for me it's definitely the winner. Yay, we're in my 4th shelf. I really love the shelf. Now I do have here The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which was one of my most favorite books in high school. I really love this book. Would I love it today? I don't know, but I really loved it in the past. Okay, so my another option is Made in Korea. Now this isn't 5 stars, but it's 4.5 stars. It's really close. I really love this book, and I'm really tempted to pick this one up because I really loved it. But I don't think that I can choose another book that isn't The Perks of Being a Wallflower, because not only it was one of my most favorite books in high school, I also reread it something like 3 4 times, and I never read books, so it says a lot. I just really love the story, and yes, I just remember that it really touched me, and this is those kind of stories that again I'm not sure that I would love today, but I feel like this one is really special to me, so I think that I'm going to pick this one. Okay, my 4th shelf. It means that we halfway through. Okay, so 5 stars. I do have here Cinder, 1st book in the Lunar Chronicles. I really loved it, and Cinder is my most favorite book of the series. I just felt so much while I read this book. It was really amazing. I do have here also Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. It's a graphic novel. It's my favorite graphic novel ever. I just really loved it, and I think those are all of my 5 stars. Okay, so I do have here the 4th and the 5th book in the selection series, and I know that a lot of people don't really love the 4th and the 5th book. Most of the people really love the original trilogy, but I actually really loved the 2 last books. They were so fun. I just think that this is one of those shelves that have so many all-time favorites here that it's really hard for me to choose, and I think that I just can't choose this series right now because those 2 books were so impactful to me since I got back into reading. And again, I love the selection. I just feel that those books are just more important to me right now, and it's really hard to choose. But because Dean keeps breaking up with me. It's just a graphic novel. I feel like there isn't as much emotions that I felt to it, like I felt to Cinder, because it's shorter, like took me 2 hours to read. This was a journey of a whole day. Yes, I read Cinder in one day. So yes, because of it, I'm going to go with Cinder. I just loved it so much, and this is my choice. Hey, I hope that you enjoy my weird angles today. This is the next shelf. Those books are mostly books that I read in high school, so it's going to be interesting. This is those kind of shelves that I almost don't have any favorites here. So let's see which ones are 5 stars. Okay, this is funny. I have here Cinder. Once again, the copy in my native language because I started to read the series in my native language. So like, I have the same book like the last shelf. I also have Cress, the 4th book, but again, Cinder is my favorite. Okay, so this is interesting. Heavy Wrist by Edith Fatto. This is basically a book that I read in elementary school. It was one of my first books that I ever read, and I really want to read it because I read it like, what, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I don't know, like a long time ago. And I really want to read it for a long time. And this was my most favorite book when I was a child, like again in elementary school. But the question is if I can choose it over Cinder, because I don't really remember anything from it. And Cinder is Cinder. And I think that I'm going to be really boring and literally pick the same book twice. But I'm just trying to be honest. And if I need to pick one favorite book from this shelf, it will have to be Cinder, because I just love Cinder so much. So yes, I'm just going to go with Cinder because this is actually my favorite book on this shelf. So I'm sorry that it's boring, but I think that the next shelf is going to be really interesting. We are in my 6th shelf. This shelf is very interesting because I have a lot of favorites here. First of all, I have here Horrid. I gave it 4.5 stars, but it's like 5 stars to me because this book was just really important to me this year. The second one is The Selection, the original book, the first book in the trilogy. And it's hard to choose because I really love this book. Like, The Selection was one of my most favorite series back in the day, and I really enjoyed it. But I do have here something major. This is The Hunger Games. Honestly, I don't think that I have any book that is better than The Hunger Games. And although I really love The Selection and I really love Horrid, and it's really hard for me not to pick one of those, I don't think that I can go with any other book except The Hunger Games. If The Hunger Games is in the list, The Hunger Games are going to win. So I really love The Hunger Games. Yes, just honestly, I can't pick any other book. I'm going to go with The Hunger Games. Okay, we have 2 more shelves to go. Please ignore the mess down here. Those are just the books on my TBR. Let's look at the books. Okay, so I do have 5 stars here. I thought that I don't have any. But first of all, I have 2 John Green books. The Fault in Our Stars, Looking for Alaska. I'm going to keep The Fault in Our Stars. I have here also Divergence, which is another book that I really loved in high school. Another 5 stars, but I'm not going to choose it. So I'm just going to put it. And I do have Verity by Colleen Hoover. It was such an amazing book. I just love Colleen Hoover so much. I love her books. This was really amazing. And it's actually really hard for me to choose, which is interesting because I didn't thought that I would be so connected to The Fault in Our Stars. Like, I read it so many years ago. Why I would choose it over Verity, which was one of my most favorite books of 2020. But it is hard because I do feel like Fault in Our Stars is a really good book. Like, would I actually prefer Verity than The Fault in Our Stars? Just hard because if I read it today, I don't know what I would think about it. And although I really want to pick it, I do think that I'm going to go with Verity in this one. Just really loved it. Just really love Colleen Hoover. So yes, in this shelf, Verity wins. Okay, so this is our final shelf. I do have an empty shelf here. So yes, this is actually going to be really hard because most of my Colleen Hoover books are here, which is like, Colleen Hoover is one of my favorite authors. So let's start. I do have 3 Colleen Hoover books here. Ugly Love, Confess, and It Ends With Us. And I know that a lot of people really love It Ends With Us, but for me, Ugly Love is the favorite out of those. Yes, the cover is just really ugly in my native language. I really prefer the original one. And I also have here The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And this is actually 4.5 stars, but I really love this book. I really want to include it. And those are actually the only options. I was sure that it's going to be really hard. It is hard to choose between those two because I really loved 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is such a great book. Definitely worth all the hype. But although it's an amazing book, this is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. It's my first ever Colleen Hoover book and I just loved it so much. Definitely one of my most favorite books by Colleen Hoover. And yes, technically this is the only 5 stars on this shelf. So yes, I'm going to go with Ugly Love. Okay, so this is very interesting. First of all of them except one are in my native language, but it's logical because I started to read more in English just this past year. Most of those are from my high school reading time. Now 2 of of those books are Colin Hoover, Verity and Ugly Love, which are also my two most favorite Colin Hoover books. And I have also The Hunger Games and Catching Fire, the first and the second book in the Hunger Games trilogy. Hunger Games was my most favorite trilogy ever. It just got me into reading. Oh, this is really funny because I have the same book twice on this list, but honestly, like, if I need to choose a favorite book from each shelf, this is my favorite book from each shelf. I just have two editions of this book. I love Cinder so much. And I have two more standalones, No Exit, which again was my first 5 stars of the year. It's an amazing thriller and the perks of being a wallflower. So yes, let's just say that this is a very interesting list. It was really fun and also really hard in some places, but it just was really fun to choose. And yes, I guess all of those are actually my all-time favorite. I really enjoyed doing this video and I hope that you enjoyed it too. Until my next video, you can check more videos by me. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone!